Welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Sanaparatna. Grab your favorite drink, get yourself a snack, and we'll get started. Today I have Biscoff cookies. I'm not sure if that's how you say these, but they are delicious. They're ginger. It's the reason I fly Delta. When a girlfriend brought them to book club once, and I was like, wait, I could save a lot of money by just buying these in the store. There we go. Kind of life changing. And I have the lemon glazed loaf tea. Just a delightful tea, but I need some caffeine, so I might have to drink this and a caffeinated beverage this afternoon, which means Earl Grey. So let's get real. Some days it's a two kind of tea day. So I want to talk about my last day in Spain. Now, I know that you're like, okay, I really don't have anything spectacular that happened that day, but I learned something that day that I hope never leaves me, and I wanted to share it with you. Because my last day somewhere is always a smidge stressful, and I just get a little kind of wild. My brain goes a million miles an hour, and I do not enjoy what's happening that last day. So we've actually normally we make that a packing day, we make that a final shop day. We don't normally go see sights on that day because I am a ball of, dare I say, anxiety that day. Like, did we get everything we needed? Did we do everything we wanted to do? Who do I need to email to make sure it picks us up at the airport? Like, all those pieces. Did we check into the airlines? Like, da, 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 da. My brain is going a million miles an hour. And so that day is normally lost on me. And so the last day that we were in Spain, we were staying at one of our free hotels, I believe, or maybe I think it was our free hotel. Anyway, and so we're staying at this hotel, and I know we need to check out. We got a late checkout, so we have the morning just to kind of chill. And Kevin's like, let's go take a walk. And I'm like, okay, we can definitely take a walk. Like, I enjoy a good walk, especially when it's like 60, 70 degrees. That's like the ideal time to be outside for me. Anything above 70, and I'm like, I'm good. Anything, below 60, I'm like, well, let's put on some layers. Anyway, you don't care. And so we start taking this walk, and I have one goal on this walk. One goal, that's all I have. And that goal is to find a mailbox or a post office, because we have our pocket internet, and that needs to be mailed back before we leave the country. And so I am trying to desperately find a place to mail this, and I cannot stop thinking about it. I'm sure we walked by beautiful churches. I'm sure we walked by historical things. I know we were on a cobble street, like the streets were made of cobblestones, and I missed it all. I completely missed it all because I was looking for post boxes. And I was like, this is my thing I need to get done before we leave. And so I saw nothing else. And so we kind of were taking this walk, and it's going downhill. I never like to start a walk going downhill. I like to end my walks going downhill. I like to walk uphill and then on the way home, walk down. Does that always work? No, it doesn't. Like, that's not always how life works. So we're walking down to this park where there's like a Roman ruins down here. The Romans built something or sent something to this part of Spain, and I was like, okay, sure, we'll go there. I'd kind of seen it on a map or one of those like YouTube searches that we did once and watch what should you see when you're in Madrid, those kind of things. And I think it was supposed to be like a garden, but we're there in February. There's not a lot of garden happening at this point, right? So we walk down and we get into this huge park, and you can oversee all of Madrid because it's kind of up, and you can see out over this expanse of Madrid. And I'm walking along, and all of a sudden I hear a bird. And I realize that all of you are like, okay, that's weird. I heard a bird, and I was like, I have to know what that bird is. Because we had stopped a couple times because I've decided that I'm a birder. I'm not very good at it yet. I'm not very good at like recognizing birds or figuring out what birds are. I do have a bird app. You can text me like in the messages, and I'll tell you what the bird app is. We'll go there. But I heard this bird, and so I pulled out my phone, and I was like, what kind of bird is this? You can push sound, and it takes the sound and tells you what it is. And when I did that, like 7 types of birds popped up that were all singing at the same time. And all of a sudden, I just realized that I had wasted all this time in the morning just being focused on this really hyper, like, I have to find a mailbox. That the glory of birds were all around that I've never seen before. Like, there were so many birds that I had never seen because they're Spanish birds and they don't necessarily migrate to Minnesota. All these beautiful birds, and then I started finding them in the trees. And there was a parakeet, no joke, a parakeet, like a green parakeet that is in Spain, and it was gorgeous. And it has this beautiful song, and it was just a moment that I went, I have to start slowing down. I have to take a moment and slow down. So we walk around the corner and we go up a couple steps, see this Roman ruins, and I just had to stop and enjoy the view. It was just such a spectacular, quiet, wow, God, thank you for stopping me here. And for me, I understand that sounds really silly, and you're like, I don't really care about birds, Jenny, and I don't care about Roman ruins or looking over a city. I get that. But for me, it was a reminder that sometimes we go too fast. Sometimes we are so busy and so full of like, here are the things I have to do, and we have to-do lists, and we have all these things that we do not stop, and what they used to say, stop and smell the roses. And now I'm kind of at the place that I feel like God is like, stop and listen to the birds. Stop and take time and figure out what the birds are. So we're driving home on Sunday from a church, and you're going from point A to point B. You want to get home, you want to unpack, you want to start the week, you have to do laundry, you got all this stuff you have to do. And we're driving home, and we go by this lake, and the lake is still kind of frozen, which is bizarre. I mean, I suppose it's not bizarre. It's only April in Minnesota, but the lake is still frozen, and it's really warm out. So I think it was like 60, 70 degrees at this point, which is really warm for a block of ice on top of top of a lake. And we stopped, and I saw it, and there was smoke or fog all along the top and over the road. And I was like, I'm stopping. I pulled over, I stopped, I got out, I took a couple pictures and a video of this fog over the lake and the ice. And it was just a moment. It was a 2-minute stop, and it changed my perspective once again. I stopped and I looked at the birds. I mean, there were some birds, but I'd already seen those birds, so I didn't count. Anyway, you don't really care about that. But it's the thought is, I took a moment to see something, even though like we were actually talking about, so what are we going to do this week? Who gets the car when, and all those kind of details on like how to do life. And I stopped and just took in the glory of what was going on. And why I'm sharing this is because I think so often in our lives we reward those people that are constantly running. And I am on social media a lot because that is part of my job. And we really reward those who are so busy that you feel like they're about to fall over. When you look at people's lives and you're like, how do they do that? Kevin and I say that all the time. Like, how do they do what they're doing? We're exhausted and we're not doing, like, we have one child, like, how do they do this? And we reward that. And kudos, like, for those of you that are high achievers and you can go after it, that's great. But you know what? We have to stop. We have to start making time to see God's glory in different ways. Now, I do this many different ways in my life. And my husband actually said something to me last week that I'm sure he remembers probably better than I do why he said it. I don't remember why he said it, but I do remember what he said. He said, we have to figure out how to get you to go from full speed to stop and put something in the middle, like first gear. Because I am all in, everything's going, I'm going to go until I stop, and then there's no more movement and I am out. I do not have a middle ground. I am not very good at like doing things slowly and enjoying things. And I'm either all of my energy is in there and then it's all gone. And he was like, you need to figure out how to do this better. And that's not what he said, but that's what I heard. And he was right. Because that walk that we took in Spain taught me that I was supposed to stop and listen to the birds. And it takes time. It takes time to find them in the trees. It takes time to pull up the app. You know, we probably spent 10 minutes trying to find these birds, and my husband was gracious and let me do that. And it was just 10 minutes of just looking up and enjoying something that I really enjoy. And we just don't do that. Like we take vacations, right? Like, or we take a day off, but we always have an agenda. We're always doing something. We're always going after things. And my encouragement to you this week is taking a few moments to do nothing. Not stopping because you're exhausted, stopping before you're exhausted. I know it seems like a really wild thing to say, right? Like stopping before you're actually exhausted. So that is one reason that I drink tea. Because tea is not something you can gulp. You can't just get it down. You have to, because like coffee, you make it and then you can just go and you put it in your cup and you go. Some people now have iced coffee, so it's even quicker. Like we've just made it so easy just to take our caffeine and go. But with tea, you have to warm up the water. You have to steep it. It has to be a certain amount of time for what kind of tea you have. Then you got to take out the tea bag. Then you have to wait for it to be cool enough to actually drink, because I'm not an iced tea drinker. And it just takes time. And it is a moment that I just have to stop and go, okay, I don't have to be busy during that time. I don't need to be running around, because for me, there is a perfect time that tea is drunk. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. There is a perfect time. And if I could figure out how to like bottle that up and just sell that temperature, I would probably never stop in life. But for me, it is a patience moment that I have to stop. And normally I spend that time praying for specific people or specific things, because it just refocuses me. It just stops and I go, Lord, you're here. What do you have for me today? And that's what birds have become for me. I know that my husband started looking at birds lots of years ago. He used to go on tons of walks with the dog, and he was out in nature. And he said when he started listening for birds, he had to stop and start looking around and enjoying where he really was. You know, we're in this gorgeous area with all these beautiful trees and lakes, and you know, we're in the land of 10,000 lakes, and how often do we stop and look at them? We drive by them quickly. We walk around them sometimes, but we don't enjoy them. So I'm asking you this week, will you stop and enjoy? Whether you're going to like go get a thing of ice cream and you're going to go to the store and you're going to get a twist cone. I mean, call me if you're going to, right? I'll come with you. And you have to eat that ice cream before it melts and just enjoy it. Or are you going to just like, we're all here, let's do this quick and then move on to the next thing? Or we're going to take a moment and we're going to enjoy the quiet moments. And that is what I learned in Spain. I learned that God is there in the busy times and he is there in the quiet times. But when I hear him the best is when I take a moment and I look up for birds. And so I encourage you to put something like that in your life. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what interests you. Maybe it is stopping and smelling the roses. Maybe it is stopping along the side of the road one day and just enjoying a field of dandelions. I love dandelions and I love looking at them, and just they are so incredible to me. And we just drive right by, or we go, oh, that was pretty, and then we just move on. And sometimes we just need to pause and stop. And so I encourage you to maybe try to think of something that you could do this week to make you pause. Make you just go, oh, wow. And spend some time in gratitude during that time and see how that makes you feel later. Because for me, I feel more connected to God. I feel more connected to myself. I feel more connected to my family. I feel more connected to what I'm about to do. Because sometimes I'm just going through the motions and I'm not even sure what I'm doing. And when I stop and I look up and see birds, or I stop and I make a cup of tea, it makes me go, what am I actually doing this for? And it really makes it more valuable. And so that's my encouragement to you. Well, that's all I have for you this week. You can find me on Real Life with Jenny on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube. Do not forget to subscribe on YouTube, like, comment on all of the places that you're listening to this. That makes a huge difference. If you want to support the podcast, you can go below into the comments and see how to do that. You can also get the products down below. I've started linking that so you can get the tea or the snacks that I have, just because why not, right? Like, it's kind of fun to be able to go and see like what that is. So it's all below. But really, I want you to really think about slowing down. Slow down a little this week. Maybe you can't slow down for hours at a time, right? Like, I'm not talking hours at a time. I know that those of you of littles and those of you that are in a busy season at work, and I get busy. I really do. I may not be as busy as all of you, but I do understand busy. And I really know that God wants us to be in a space that we can see everything. And you have to slow down to do that. So I encourage you, find something that's going to make you slow down this week, whether it's a cup of coffee with a friend, or it is a quiet walk around the block without any devices. Whatever you can squeeze in. Maybe it's just going into the bathroom, running the shower, and not even taking a shower, just standing there. Yes, I have had little children. I know what it's like. And I just pray that you can figure out a quick moment to take for yourself. And maybe you'll make it a habit. And see what God will do in those few moments that you just go, Lord, thank you. Have a great week, guys.